Victor Chanza. Dr. Victor Chanza is a doctor in legal studies. This is also another essential area of life. Anywhere you are, you from time to time, you're getting involved in some kind of issue that requires help in the legal arena. So that's probably what Dr. Victor Chanza, Doctor of Legal Studies, I repeat, will be telling us about. The microphone is yours right now. Welcome, Dr. Chanza from Zambia.
Thank you so much, Dr. Franklin, and thank you so much to Dr. Lambert. Let me also take, this opportunity to recognize, my speakers, Dr. Kabole, Mr. Morgan Kalumba, my good brother here in Zambia, Dr. Cornelius Sama, and the recent presenter, Dr. Rosemary Achika. They present, a very wonderful presentations which were all aligned to a number of issues that the world is currently looking at and also trying to resolve in one way or the other. You find that presenter number 1, presenter number 2 and 3, they touched almost similar issues to do with either healthy or sustainable environment in one way or the other. And that Rosemary Chika touched on an important aspect of the SMEs. And African Developmental Bank has actually put up some certain programs in 10 countries which would like to venture into sustainable development through the SMEs. So without ado, I would request basically go on my presentation for this evening. Okay, today we are looking at an interesting topic, and the presentation that I'm going to make today is very short, probably maybe the shortest. But I think what will come out from there is my own journey, my own story. 10 years ago, entering into AIU, after a year, I did my second PhD. But then, there are a number of issues that when you're talking about innovation ideas and the power of networking brings about. I'm the current director of African National Parks and Conservation, a company that I formed some 6 years ago. And I also run another institution known as Institute of Forensic Science here in Zambia, and I'm the father, I'm the guru in terms of forensic science and investigations. I've trained a number of security personnel from the Defense Security Intelligence. I've had the privilege of advising the former heads of state from, the fourth Republican president to the current. So these are issues when you get into school, you just don't go and memorize. You get into school to have an idea. And when you have an idea must be translated, it must be actualized. When you actualize the idea, it becomes a fulfillment. And it is that power that gives you the agility, basically to conceal something that you endeavor to cherish for the rest of your time. I stopped working for any corporate or maybe for these institutions that you may think. I've worked with very powerful institutions such as, Huawei, where I was regional, director managing about 6 countries. I worked with, Amnesty International. I worked with a number of big organizations. But at a tender age of 26, some 10 years ago when I was doing in my second doctorate, I decided to get into something to give me the ability to move, to translate into something I thought would be able to give me the power of innovation. And the idea which one has, you need to actualize it. A delayed idea and later on actualizing is better than an idea which you cannot actualize at all, but it just comes the paper and the pen every day. You're just writing and nothing comes to actualize it. So the whole presentation is well argumented on the issues pertaining to how you and I, how each one of us into this fora, we can be able to see how these innovative idea can translate into something that is tangible, something that can create impact, something that can be able to bring honor, not only to ourselves, but also to our family members, and also the countries where we are coming in from. We get to the second slide, Dr. Lambert. Okay. My presentation is kind of, funny because, it's more artistic. On top there, we're talking about wealth. What is wealth? Innovation, passion, focus. That is our company ethos. When you look into that picture, you'll be able to see that there's a man who's with a gun. That man is actually protecting nature. Africa, including Zambia, has been robbed, where we see that there is which is ongoing, and people who are involved in this are ourselves. Within the powers of the corridors, whether it's in government, whether it's these of the NGOs, whether they're these the donors, they come a lot of good ideas, but the intention behind certain ideas is what we need to query. If you look into that picture very carefully, you'll be able to see the animals are happy. See the giraffe under the tree. It has given you a stature, the power that tells you to say that the giraffe is in its own vineyard. It's enjoying the ambience of natural forest, the flora, the fauna. Look at that rhino. That rhino is just telling you to say that it can freely move. Look at the bird that is flying, an eagle, a fish eagle, telling you to say that it can fly at any, highest speed. And there's a lion. The lion enjoying its ambience and its friendliness. On this other side, there's also a kudu. So behind it is an elephant. The is a monkey which is also trying, to swing on the trees, trying to see whether it can reach out certain areas. I want to make this presentation to actualize the issues that are happening in my own country. Also in Africa, we have seen that we have the natural resources that we can utilize. Where you see that you have got a challenge, a wise man should be able to see an opportunity to create employment, to create something that can be able to fit into something that can build the nation into greater heights. The wealth is in the natural resources that we have in our country. We talk about sustainable development. This sustainable development can only be actualized if we conserve our nature. You talk about agriculture. You cannot do any meaningful agriculture if our nature is not conserved. The animals are an important species that play an important role to the ecosystem. We spoke about the SMEs. How can you become a big enterprise? Where are you supposed to start from if the environment does not give you an opportunity to freely operate in? It becomes practically impossible. So what this picture really translates is that when you go green, when you conserve the energy, when you ensure to say that what we're doing, there is an aspect of us protecting our nature, we can get jobs for ourselves. Sometimes we need to understand that there is no government in the entire world that has provided employment to every graduate. But the idea as in nourished under AI is to have students who would be able to translate the learning into creating employment for other people. and as African National Parks and Conservation is to ensure that we play an important role, that we partner with government and also the private sector, where we do empower the local people where we integrate again with the government, looking at the different scenarios where different opportunities that comes on board can be as within the new paradigm shift. Our passion is to save where we are before we go and sell elsewhere. Even in a business, if you cannot have the passion to ensure that the local people within the area you're operating, they get the benefit of your business, you cannot stand that business. Because it is the local people around that business that can be able to support you and ensure that your business grows. In the like manner, even in this presentation, we are saying that we can only do so if we understand our focus. What focus is it that we have, you and I? So the focus is to ensure that all our businesses, they are in line with key performance indicators, which must translate to the ideologies of what the government of the day would do in the next short, medium, and long plans, and align them with a strategic plan as an institution to ensure that you can buy into certain government proposals so that you can also have share for national care, which is the national budget. We can go to the next slide. If you look at this slide, look at these beautiful animals. You will realize that these animals right now in Africa or in Zambia, slowly by slowly, they are depleting. Because we do not care about these animals. All we care about is our own selfish gains. But these are the animals which we can also use to ensure that we contribute to the foreign and direct investment of our countries through the attribution of tourism, where we can allow other people to come and visit our countries, to come and look at our nature. We have got plenty of animal species in our country, which these other countries which are lacking the fauna and the flora like Zambia has, could be able to come in and also provide employment to other people within the vicinity, across the globe, and also within the sphere where we are able to reach. These animals show you how healthy they are because the vegetation that we have created, because the vegetation that has been preserved. The ideal situation in a situation of this nature is to ensure that we do not allow the GMOs, which government would have gazetted, to be allowed being given to this, in inverted commas, selfish investors. Not all investors mean well, where investment brings in only benefit to those who are benefiting than the local people. We have also seen in our discourse of our operations how our African leaders, starting from some of the presidents or ministers, including the local people that we entrust with certain responsibilities like the chiefs, Indunas, the Igwes, they are all involved, or most of them are involved in illegal activities to benefit from these natural resources. All these things, in one way or the other, we still need them, because in the absence of animals being part of our vegetation, being part of us, there is no development that becomes meaningful in whatever situation that we may talk of. There is no any other opportunity if the local people where these animals are found cannot be given an opportunity to benefit from the local investors. We need to actualize these realities and translate them into issues which are becoming in more paramount than we could fall. Than we could fall. The other slide, Dr. Lambert. Dr. Lambert, we could go to the next slide. Thank you. The picture that you are able to see here, it's an unfortunate picture where in our operations, we caught those poachers. You can see the illegal use of those ammunitions, the shotguns. There's a net there. I want to give you what is happening, for example, here in Chisamba, where government received money through World Bank to construct an irrigation dam to benefit the commercial farmers within that region. That dam was constructed for the sole purpose of ensuring that these commercial farmers, they can actually have an access to irrigation throughout the year to ensure that the aspect of national food security is being dealt with. To ensure that this aspect of us trying to always look out for GMOs does not become the thing of the present, but the thing of the past. The government thought it wise to ensure that Zambia becomes a beacon of peace and a country that can be able to sustain most of these neighboring countries within the region. These people you are seeing into that picture are people whose thoughts are not with the local people nor government. What are they doing? You have seen those nets, which we confiscated, and some of them are snares. They are using illegal or unwanted method of fish farming. I must be quick to mention that I'm proud one of the biggest aquafish farming in Africa is Zambia only. Yalelo, the board chairman. Yalelo is one of the aquafish farming projects which received some good funding, the international market or from the international financiers. I was there present. I looked at that, fish farming. I was there in the water river. We saw everything. I know the cons, the pros and the cons. We fight them with security. That guarantees them a chance to say that the rights are not going to be allowed to kill us. Those poachers that got there, they were caught with guns, snares, we confiscated. If you look at the value of some of these raw materials which these people they have, it's very low. But what they get in return is something sometimes government needs to pay particular attention. And in this regard, we have prioritized anti-poaching. We have ensured to say that the agricultural aspect, tourism, issues pertaining to the SMEs, they are not deprived from us, the local people, but we are supposed to enjoy the fruits of this country. So this picture gives a sad reading because instead of these people to become the defenders of our nature, they are the ones in forefront of destroying our nature. What shall it benefit them if they kill one kudu? I know that a rhino right now it costs more than $30,000 one, depending on the species. If these animals they are going to be depleted, who will suffer? These animals they do create unemployment within these communities. And what we have done with our partners such as WWF, Zoology Society of Zambia, the Ministry of Tourism under the Department of National Parks and Wildlife, is to come up with what are known as CRBs, the Community Resource Boards. These community resource boards, we have picked some of the people whose education is quite low and trained them to become the village scouts. These village scouts, they have been contributing to the preservations of these game management areas, or either game ranches or farm ranches, to ensure that they contribute to the national preservation of resources. They also contribute to effects of the GDP through the various works that they are able to do. Besides them having a little education, we have decided as an institution to come up with a concept or a project that looks at different various facets that enables the people within a certain area to come up together and identify the gaps and the areas which they would want to be helped. And one of them is to provide such kind of trainings that accommodates such kind of people whose education is low, but they are willing to change their lives through enabling environment by bringing them on board to participate in the various forums. In terms of all these projects, you understand that sometimes you do not need a lot of money. It is the will, it is the political will, it is the ideologies, it is the ideas which you need to actualize them. Get to the ground, involve the local people, ensure that they play an important role, because the local people themselves, they must own the project. You facilitate. Once you facilitate, let the people themselves tell you how they want it to be done. And it is through such kind of ideology that people are able to buy and that the project to become successful. What we have also seen using this kind of tactics is one, not all leaders, they have what are known as soft skills. Have the right attitude when you want to be supported. Some of the project, they have failed to take place because of the people whom you have put in the front to champion this project. You need to understand that the government operates in a dynamic way. You need to know how certain decisions can be influenced. Who is an influencer in this project? What kind of soft skills do they have that if they are going to talk to donors, funders, or the cooperating partners, they'll be able to buy into your idea? You need to be strategic. You just don't need to start a project which cannot sustain itself. From conception of this company to date, 90% has been funded by ourselves. And I'm proud of that because I know that this project, it cannot die even when I'm no more, because at least the people around me, they have been given the power, the knowledge, and the agility to know where to stand and how to go forward. Next slide, Dr. Lambert. Look, beautiful picture. That is one of the 7 wonders of the world, the mighty Victoria Falls, which is situated in the southern province of Zambia, in Livingstone. Livingstone is not in South Africa. We share it in the boundaries between Zambia and Zimbabwe. Assuming that we had destroyed our vegetation, do you think that you can have this view, which gives you something that you must be able to think about? We are talking about agriculture. We do have a system, and right now government, it has made a particular position, and the president has put it very categorically. We want to start harnessing this water, free water coming from God. God himself has given us all these natural resources. And if only we could conserve this water, we nurture it, I can assure you, we can have a strength as Africa to bargain our own way. Not what we see right now in terms of all these other opportunities. They only favor a certain region. But this time around, as a country, as Zambia, we want to ensure that we harness, we have that can be able to sustain us. We are doing away with the issues of minerals such as copper. Of course, for now, we appreciate copper but we want to look at it in terms of agriculture. We want to ensure that the tourism sector becomes one of an entity or an enterprise that should be able to sustain government, even when these minerals would have depleted, or maybe even when we no longer need these minerals to become one of those priority things we can talk about. Victoria Falls, within the country, we share boundaries with Zimbabwe. If we could take this opportunity and ensure that, like we are having the symposium, all of you who are in the diaspora, I ask you to come here. You go with a story, because this place will offer you an opportunity to look for an investment. It will give an opportunity to think of what kind of thing can you bring across. When you are getting into the market, no one is with empty hand. We want you to come with something on the table, so that even as we discuss about business, the bargaining power must be equal. It will not be a good idea for you to come with empty hands and ask we give you everything. At the end of the day, you want to get all our forex and send it back. What we are saying is that this time around, we want to do things in a different way. We want to look at innovation. We want to look at additional grid on how this water, once we harness it, to which other countries we export, electricity? Are we able to sustain certain countries which are surrounding Zambia, that we can be able to export, so that our GDP can start talking different ideology? We don't want to continue putting our trust and leaning too much on IMF or World Bank. We want to ensure that we move away from these, kind of situation, or, whether they are shekels where we borrow money at a certain rate, and, our generation are the ones who are going to suffer. Most of the African countries, they are highly indebted. Why? Mismanagement of natural resources. Leaders whom we had entrusted with a certain responsibilities, they have disappointed us. We want to ensure that they account what is still in office, and leave these natural resources for us, and we also leave these natural resources for the future generation, so that as we go forward, some of these ideologies that we can conceive now, they can be actualized for the benefit of our countries, for the benefit of Africa, for the benefit of the entire globe. So that at the end of the day, we can become a safe environment. We can be able to trust each other on different numbers of issues, where business can be transacted without having suspicions of what should be able to happen next. And the last slide, Dr. Lamberti. Now, a happy face will always tell you whether a person is happy or not. The challenges that you'll be able to face around in this whole aspect is that in terms of technological aspect, definitely we will need drones. If you're going to protect some of these species, if you're talking about GMOs, you can be able to monitor the activities. We are talking about technology that can be able to tell you if the rain patterns for this year are okay with a certain threshold. They should be able to tell that in the next 5 years, if you do not protect this environment, the resultant situation is A, B, C, D. We have been talking about the depletion of the ozone layer because we're careless people. We don't care. We lose money. Whichever investor comes in, they want to cut down trees indiscriminately. All few selfish people, they have sold our birthright. They have decided to do and make all these decisions at our expense. And what do we gain in return? We suffer hunger, poor rainfall patterns, because we have destroyed our vegetation. I want to thank each one of you for listening to this short presentation that I thought I should be able to tell you my story. That's my office, and that's me, and I am happy. I am happy because I know that you and I, if we are able to put our thoughts together and stop this dependency syndrome, we can make a difference in the lives of so many people. We can touch so many souls. The people around us, we can change their thinking.
Love
I wish
your
to thank you
presentation.
for listening.
I admire it. I wish some of the African leaders were listening.
Somebody, thank you very much, Dr. Victor Chanza. That was really a beautiful start. That we'll be able to get involved and make a change in other people's lives. That is supreme and noble goal. This is what we get from the president of African National Parks and Conservation in Zambia, Dr. Victor Chanza. I really would love to see those things in action. I've never been in Africa, but I look at your last picture, Dr. Chanza, I am impressed. I've never seen anything like that, so except in pictures or in videos. And of course, it's a completely different ball game if I am right there with my camcorder videotaping. I would love to be there. Anyway,
you are most welcome, Dr. Vincent. I can be able to make, some arrangement for you to meet the Minister of Tourism, even the President. It will be an opportunity, actually, for the team to come here and also explore other avenues.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that invitation, and of course, Dr. Lambert and I and some other officials at Atlantic International University. One day we will be in Zambia to see those things and to be at the border, like you were saying, between Zimbabwe and Zambia and watch those magnificent views. I would love to be there, to have that experiment, to put that in my CV, like someone who has been in Africa and knows Africa very, very well. That's a dream, and I'm hopeful that that dream will come true. Thank you very much again, Dr. Chanza. We are now ready for your questions, ladies and gentlemen, and we are beginning with Dr. Surge. Dr. Surge.
Hello.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
Very well.
Okay. I'm very pleased to hear what Dr. Victor have just come to say. But my question would be this. What he has said, all the members of governments in different countries of Africa, don't they know all this? And what does he think is leading them to do almost the contrary or not what is expected them to do to favor development and all the things that he has said during his presentation?
Dr. Chanza.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sage. Actually, my presentation is quite provoking. When you talk about investment and sustainable development in this area that I've just presented, good leaders are not going to give their birthright. I'll give you a practical example. In Kenya, I've been in Kenya. I've trained a number of law enforcement agencies across Africa and the globe. You just kill an animal, you are in trouble. You will be sentenced even to 16 years. Do you know the reason why? It's because they want to preserve nature. They want the animal to have a right, just like you have a right. You don't have a right to go and shoot an animal. Who gives you that right? So our African leaders, if they are looking at investment, the investment must benefit the people, but not to the detriment of the people. Why would you want to allocate land that is meant for a GMA for you to easily come and ask an investor to go and put a shopping mall? How will the people from the village come into town and buy things from a mall? How do you expect that? But if the local people themselves who are in the village, the investor says, yes, from this GMA, we want more animals to be here so that from these little things we'll be able to build a hospital for you. That makes sense because you are not selling their rights. But if you are going to cut down trees discriminatorily at the expense of an investment, which only benefits a few who got a handshake or got something, a brown envelope, you haven't done anything that should be able to improve our welfare. Because the little people who benefit are those in powers. So our leaders must be able to go there at the bargaining table with a view of empowering the entire community. This national cake must be translated into equal equilibrium. Everyone must be able to benefit, only people. And this is what you see. And we are saying that that kind of investment is good enough because only few people invest. But we do not also want these natural resources, such as the fauna and the flora, to be depleted at the expense of you erecting a building, which will only benefit 2-3 people. That is the line under which I was trying to make sure that we ensure that we restrict some of these issues.
Thank you very much.
Pertaining to investment.
Thank you very much for your answer, Dr. Chanza. Any other hand up at this time? Any other attendee who wants to ask a question? The topic is very interesting. So this is the time, ladies and gentlemen. Don't wait until the last moment when we begin to run out of time, as we do have the last presentation by Dr. Arnold Ominde. So please do not wait for the last moment. All right, Apostle Milinga, that is your turn at this time. Apostle, your microphone, please turn it on. There we go. Go ahead and ask your question, please, Apostle. We get no sound from you, unfortunately. Double check your microphone connection. The system on your end does recognize that you did turn your microphone on, but there is no output from that microphone. That is very, very unfortunate. Anyway, again, this is very, very essential for people like Dr. Chanza in saying to do whatever to protect nature. All right, maybe we have a question right now. Let me see other hands up. Your microphone still not working, Apostle Milinga. Lombayi, Gires, you have a question for Dr. Chanza?
Hello.
Yeah, listening.
Good evening, everybody. I wanted just to ask this question to Dr. Victoria. What you said about how to keep animals. So what I can understand is that, but you know, in Africa, we live in the places like other villages. So we live in, you know, if we don't kill, we don't eat, some of us. So how can we be hungry and then we see some animals there while the government is doing nothing for us? So we grew up like that. So what are we going to do if something happening like that? Because I cannot be hungry and then the government telling me to not kill while they didn't have something, they didn't propose anything to me. So what am I going to eat? See, that was my question. So maybe it can help us with that.
Very much, Lombayi.
Thank you.
Your take on that, Dr. Chanza?
Thank you so much. Basically, you know, we've got plenty of, you know, land in Africa. And basically, if you look at, you know, the wildlife management, environmental protection, agriculture, each country, you know, has got, you know, a way or probably cash crops or maybe what kind of things does or maybe or product or cereals which your country has put as a priority, and it is from there that you see you can be able to sustain yourselves. But look, if you want to get a game meat, for example, there are procedures. You need to apply for a license, which is known as a hunting license. You cannot just assume that because the village where I am, there are these animals, we can easily kill them indiscriminately. The question that will come, or maybe that I would intend to ask my question, is that if you have decided to kill all the animals within the area where you are, what do you think would happen?
I do understand your
It won't create jobs for you that you should be able to have even an employment that can give you, some income that can make you to go and buy whatever you want. So you cannot just look at an animal as the only, but look at an animal as an investment that can generate an income, an animal that can be able to facilitate you into, creating jobs for other people. It is from that angle that you'll be able to see that even the tourists that you did not anticipate to come and look at a certain species of an animal, where probably maybe in Sadiq or maybe wherever you are the only country that has it. People would want to see. If you would have preserved that animal, so much in terms of the foreign direct investment would have come into your country, translating into creation of jobs. Dr. Rosemary Chikas of the SMEs. How do you become a small SME in your own village? Become a tour guide that can be able to take people where they would want to see certain animals. In return, you get something out of it. And it is that return that will make you be able to buy something and sustain your living. So it is not just an issue of consumption. Yes, you need to consume, but our consumption must be minimal and it must be guided by certain virtues and also principles of law.
Like I was saying, thank you very much for your reply, Dr. Chanza. I understand very well your perspective, but at the same time, I do understand why Lombai, US, was sort of laughing, because I'm putting in Lombai's shoes as well. Because, look, actually, let me open parentheses real quick, Lombai, to remind you that Dr. Chanza is an expert in legal studies, which means the perspective that Dr. Chanza would most likely look at this issue is the legal one, what is permitted. That's why the first portion of his answer to you was the obligation to apply for a license to kill. But I do understand your position, Lombai, and I'm going to ask Dr. Chanza to make comments about this. Let's think, for example, about the chickens. Let's think about the cow. Let's think about the fish, and let's think about some other animals. And people kill. And that's basically in every country. In the United States, of course, you don't have the right to grab an animal like that or kill and so forth and so on. The regulation about licensing exists. So, but yes, I do ask that question all the time. I do understand the perspective of protecting what they call the endangered species. But for, I don't know if the term ordinary animals makes sense, but I'm thinking this way, from that angle. Some animals, I'm hungry, and then the government is not doing anything for me. I don't have a job. It's not my fault if I don't have a job. I'm not lazy. I want a job. I don't get a job, but I'm hungry. And then as I'm hungry, the government is not doing anything. And I have my moral values that I preventing me from going into a store and, do some shoplifting and steal other people's belongings. And there is an animal now that is passing me by. I'm hungry, and then a government is telling me, well, before you grab that animal, go get your license. I don't have the time. There is an obligation to kill right away, so that I can eat. I understand, there are some fine lines between what is permitted and what is not. But let's go back to you, Dr. Chanza, within the line of thoughts of Lombai's question. Now,
Yeah, actually,
there is an animal there. Tell us something.
Yeah, actually, it's a two-way thing. No wonder I think when I started, I think there are those animals which are protected species. And there are domestic animals which kill, which we keep rather, like cow, goats, and so forth. Of course, those ones, because we tame them, you don't need a license. But are you telling me that because you are hungry, you are not going to care about the law? You find a kudu, you kill it because you are hungry, and you want to go scot-free. For me, I think there's a better way. I don't want to mention some certain areas because those are areas where I've been operating, where has allowed the local people once in a while, after 3 months, they are allowed into his game ranch to probably maybe about 4 big animals to go and share as a community. And the village headman is involved and is taught that I'm plowing back. I do not want the people to easily come and poach it. But what I want to do is that after 3 months, I'll be able to be supplementing them so that the local people can be able, to have some government. So it's such kind of an initiative where you see that the CRBs, they become more meaningful because the community is benefiting in several ways because clinics have been built, jobs have been created through these same local people. So at the end of the year, there is this collaboration where the persons within that area becomes the protectors of that same game ranch. So in that way, you find that at the end of the day, the issues of them wanting to commit crime is minimal because at least there is something that they benefit from it. But if we are going to look at it in terms of saying hunger, then it means that the little species that we are remaining with, all of them, they are going to deplete because we are going to say we are hungry. Then what is it that is going to happen? There we create a bad precedent. That's my take. We create a bad precedent. And we are not actually even actualizing the United Nations developmental goals where the ecosystem or, the protecting of the environment is. We are actually going to destroy a lot of things because of appetites. So in order for us to ensure that now we've got even enough, cash crops, let's conserve our land. And the issue of hunger is not going to be there. But if we do not conserve, our natural resources, then we'll still keep talking about hunger. And because we are hungry, we will also be killing these animals indiscriminately. But the question is, for how long are we going to move in that direction?
All right.
So we need to move our.
Thank you very much. There is a need for a balance. We are now going to Francis Misigo Oriedo. Yours, the floor. Francis, please turn your microphone on. You turn your video off, but you need to keep your video on. Francis, your video is now off. Probably as you were trying to turn your microphone on, you turn your video off. So, okay, now we have the video. What is missing is the microphone. Next to the video icon, there is a microphone. The first one is a microphone on your lower left. Please click on that icon for the microphone. Lower left of your system. Unfortunately, we are not getting it from Francis. We might be obligated to go to one attendee. Let me see who has a hand up. All right. We cannot get to the bottom of the situation with Francis Misido's microphone. So Acacio Idunu Nguema, you want to ask Dr. Chanza another?
Hello?
Acacio?
See, yes, yes.
Go
I'm
ahead.
Acasio.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
you understand me? You know. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
You get me?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Okay, okay, thank you. Because the last time I have some interference,
Okay.
you know, my communication, please. Let me say, it's my first experience at the US because of my occupation. I'm a very, very busy because I work at the Ministry of Finance in our country. Sometimes I can attend to my course. And the last time I was very stressed. As an experienced worker, I would like to talk about the last topic that we are talking about. In my cases, to improve the poverty and to improve the poverty and the development for people is no easy work because it's very difficult to improve the life of the people. Why? People have different character and different behavior that's influence in any economic, any situation of the population around the world. Some people find the opportunity, but they take it as serious. And that I want to generalize the concept is only that I noticed some group of people who today stop studying, and unfortunately, the study it was very important for them to improve the future regarding the fancy, regarding the situation of the family. No, all people have money to pay the study, but as human being, you must create, you must innovate, you must be serious and prudent to measure our life. Why I want to say that? Look at my principal example. I can say that my family did not have money to pay my school at university, but in my cases, I have to work very well to connect at least to connect with any institute to improve myself in the three languages, Spanish, French, and English. I prefer to lose money in lieu of you could buy cars, construct the building, they buy the to take the measure life. This I'm a kiss. I would like to talk to you is simply that I'm a Spanish speaker and French. That means we can raise some mistake on my explanation because of my situation, because of we don't practice English clearly. We are working with people who speak Spanish every day. We are looking around people who speak our national language. That did not allow me to improve myself in English language. But I tried to do everything to improve my career in English. I preferred to learn it in English and learn on French or the Spanish. Concerning to the topics about the noisy and new idea, that I want to collaborate in that sense is only that as experienced work and financial, have many projects, and in the last 2 years, I have presented many projects on my department. Some of them I approve it or have been approved. Some of them allow me today to improve my economic situation. Why? Because they realize they are taking account on my innovative idea or my how the colleagues in our country is I'm coming. It's only the rise of the innovation. Today I receive only that money because some people do not have the same level to create, to innovate, to improve the lives of others. But that I would like to do, the message I would like to send to the other people is only that if you have innovative and open mind, you must use them. You must create. You must work very hard to improve the life to other people.
Thank you very, very, very much for your input, Akasion Guema. I commend you for looking at things that way. And all I can say now is for you to be positive in everything that you do, and you certainly will end up successful at the end. Thank you very much again. We're gonna wrap up this session about Dr. Chanza's presentation with the last question with Jesse Assand. Can you turn your microphone there? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much. I am Jesse Assand. I am the CEO of Assurance Logistics Supply Chain. I do medical supply. My issue is with the presentation in Africa now, there's a lot of population growth and there's real estate development is on the high and food cost and everything is on the high. Therefore, there's lack of industrialization being built from the government to be able to employ the youth to work in industry. That is pushing a lot of people to be able to go and go for these species that are endangered. I want to ask the doctor, what are some of the suggestions that can be able to curtail such problems, sir?
Dr. Chanza.
Thank you so much for that brilliant question. And that's the more reason why now communities, individuals, and government, you know, the first and foremost is a government must be able to have a political will. That political will becomes a driving force. In the absence of the government buying into the idea of having a political will, as an individual, it becomes difficult for you to easily come up with something that can translate into something. But even though the situation may be difficult, what you need to do is to come up with strategies, get into some form of campaigns, form up a coalition that speaks about something that you would want to be actualized by government. Ensure that you engage government and these other stakeholders so that your idea can be bought. Once that happens, it becomes easier for you to implement that project. And of course, this problem may not only be in your country, even here it's the same. But strategically, what we are doing like ourselves is to ensure that, first and foremost, we need to understand government policy. What is the policy on government pertaining to A and B or C? From there, you come up with some campaign, you come up with message that can speak out. You involve the local people, the community, the clergy, the different professionals. Once they buy into that, there is always pressure. That pressure will leave government with no option but
All right, we have lost Dr. Chanza. I understand that the communication's been lost on his end, but that's okay. But this wraps up the presentation by Dr. Victor Chanza from Zambia, Doctor of Legal Studies, and his presentation was about some of the issues that are confronted in Africa, but 4 keywords that he used to compel everybody to move forward with whatever they can do: wealth, innovation, passion, and focus. We thank him very much, even if we have lost him. And I thank everybody who up to this time is with us. I know it's been a long journey, but one that is really worth it. We have had several very interesting presentations. And we are now getting into the last one with Dr. Arnold Ominde from Kenya. Dr. Ominde is a doctor